Good evening, dear friends. What a coincidence! आज पूरे चांद का दिन है, वो भी बुद्ध पूर्णिमा, ऊपर से चंद्र ग्रहण, and on top of that our own Chand Kejriwal. इससे बेटर और क्या होगा? Hope everybody agrees. Chand Kejriwal, the past First Lady of Rotary Club of Bombay West, is a bonsai artist and an Ikebana enthusiast since last more than 35 years. She is also a teacher in both form of arts. She is a self-taught artist in the art of accent planting, which is again a part of bonsai study. The list of her artistic talent is long. Friends, after 35 years of learning the art of Ikebana, in February 2021, she has been honored as a sub-Grand Master by Ohara School of Ikebana. She also has been invited to receive this honor in a formal ceremony in September this year in Japan. For your information, friends, there are only 40-45 recipients approximately of this honor across the world. Since last 4 decades, she has been studying, creating, and teaching this beautiful art of bonsai and Ikebana. Besides possessing and maintaining a large personal collection of bonsais, she still continues to be a passionate learner and is happy sharing her knowledge with everyone, whoever desires to learn. Using nature as an inspiration and by applying the principles from bonsai and Ikebana, she has developed herself as a self-taught artist in the art of accent planting, which is another part of bonsai study. She has also authored a book on this subject, Rediscovering Nature, which was released last year, just before the pandemic in March 2020. This book is available for sale, for which you can contact her directly. Friends, today she is going to give us a PowerPoint presentation on Ohara School of Ikebana. And she is also going to talk about her journey in this Japanese art form. Thank you. Welcome, Chand.
Chand, unmute yourself.
Yeah. Do you start now?
Yes.
Okay. President Dr. Manoj Patel, Secretary Hima Dalal, and my whole extended family comprising members and spouses of our club. The Rotary Club of Bombay West, a very good evening to all of you. Thank you very much, Ashok Diora Bhai Sahab, for conceiving the idea of allowing me to share with my family my journey in Ikebana, and thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Nirmala is again a dear friend, and hence to have her introduce me can only result as an icing on the cake. Thank you, Nirmala, for your kind and fulsome introduction. A few of my Ikebana and bonsai friends and colleagues have also joined in, and I would like to welcome them all. What is Ikebana? Ikebana is an ancient Japanese art of flower arrangement according to rules and principles evolved over its long history. The name Ikebana comes from the Japanese Ike, meaning alive or arrange, and Bana meaning flower. In contrast to casually placing flowers in a vase, Ikebana aims to bring out the inner qualities of flowers and other live materials and express emotions. Ikebana is seen as more than decorative. It is seen as a spiritual process that helps one develop a closeness with nature, enabling the merger of the outdoors with the indoors. How and why did I begin my journey in Ikebana? At home, it was my responsibility to ensure that our home was always brightened with fresh flowers placed in vases. It was in 1987 that I first heard of Ikebana. Besides the world itself, which fascinated me, the idea of arranging flowers in a structured manner to further enhance their beauty excited me. I decided that I would like to learn this art. Thus began my journey. The first task was to find a teacher. As very few of my friends and acquaintances had heard of Ikebana, it took me more than 8 months to locate a teacher. Finally found a teacher in Mrs. Lalita Kalambi who taught Ikebana. I was truly excited to begin my learning. Learning meant that I had to go to her apartment on the 3rd floor with my vases, pin holders, a bucket of flowers, different leaves, and a notebook for notes. I would trudge 3 floors with my stuff, but I had no complaints. Regularly did this exercise for 12 years, and as I progressed every year, the material to carry became larger and heavier. But as I continued to be fascinated and excited with my classes, I used to eagerly wait for my next class. I learned in class that there are numerous schools of Ikebana, Ikenobo being one of the oldest schools. Other well-known schools being Ichio, Sogetsu, Enshu, Miso, Koryu. There are more than 3,000 more schools of Ikebana in Japan. And what I would learn would be the Ohara School of Ikebana, which was a very old and prestigious school of Japan. It was first time that I'd come across the name, and it was fine with me as long as it was Ikebana. The first year was indeed very difficult as my teacher explained and gave me notes on the first type of arrangement that I would have to learn. She taught me horizontal angles, vertical angles, movement degrees for each line, the subject group, the object group, type of vase to be used, position of pin holders, number of flowers and leaves to be used. The list went on and on. As I kept attending my class week after week, month after month, I was overwhelmed with all the knowledge being imparted and had a feeling of not being able to cope. My first exam was nearing, and I was unsure if I could take the same, as I felt that I had hardly been able to understand anything. According to the syllabus, I had to make 4 arrangements in the styles being taught to me for my first exam. I felt miserable, but put on a bold front and appeared for my first exam, which I feel I was lucky to clear. We all know that the Japanese are very systematic in their approach to anything. Such is the case in our Ohara school also. They have provided a set syllabus and an exam at the end of the year to test your learning and understanding. As we keep progressing, arrangements become more complex and difficult. It is indeed a very systematic and well-designed syllabus, as earlier learned arrangements keep merging into newer arrangements being taught. I only realized this later when I began to fully understand and enjoy this lovely art. At this time, my goal was to obtain my first master's degree, which was the highest degree given to persons who want to learn this art. Even to achieve this, I still had a long way to go. In 1989, I passed my first exam known as beginners. In 1990, I cleared my second exam called advanced. In 91, saw me clear my third exam called first term assistant teacher. In 1992, was successful in clearing my fourth exam called second term assistant teacher. The fifth exam is an important milestone if you desire to teach, known as instructors. I passed this exam in 1993 and had now become an official teacher and was eligible to teach for diplomas. After you have completed the instructor's level, the certificates are now on the master's level. Our arrangements become more intricate and complex. The sixth exam, which I completed in 1994, got me the certificate of fourth term masters, and the seventh exam, which I cleared in 1995, got me the certificate of third term masters. After the seventh exam, there is a break of minimum 3 years. During these 3 years, we have to constantly revise and master all the different types of arrangements with variations we have learned so far. We need to practice with different materials and understand in depth all the arrangements. I was able to clear my 8th exam in 1998, on completion of which I was awarded the degree of Associate Second Term Masters. Now it was time to work for my degree of Second Masters. These master degrees are very high degrees in our Ikebana world and are taken very seriously in our Ikebana fraternity. I could only appear for this degree after another period of 4 years, during which time we are supposed to have mastered many different types of arrangements, as also different types of landscapes. At this stage, you have to display your own creativity and variations. I used this time to sincerely practice week after week with my teacher, using different types of flowers and foliage. While difficult, it was also very fulfilling. I successfully obtained my second master's degree after completing my exam in 2002. The next step was the degree of Associate First Masters, which would happen after another interval of 5 years. I was able to obtain this degree in the year 2007. My goal of First Masters now was very much in sight. Again, you could only give your exam for First Masters after a gap of 5 years. In spite of my goal still in sight, I still felt a large degree of apprehension, as there was always chances of a slip between the cup and the lip. Nevertheless, I continued to take my lessons with my teacher. Also, all along my process of learning, I would take the opportunity to attend workshops and conventions in India and abroad, including Japan, which helped in opening new vistas, redefining my vision and exposure to Ikebana. In 2012, my last exam was conducted by a panel of 3 very senior teachers. After what seemed like an eternity, pronounced that I had successfully cleared the exam, and hence I was awarded my degree of First Masters. A truly joyous but also humbling moment after a period of 25 years. It dawned on me, if you focus on your dream and work sincerely towards it, you can attain it. I feel very grateful towards the Almighty and also towards my whole family, who always encouraged and stood by me throughout my whole journey and still remain a strong pillar of support. Now the question is, why should anyone spend 25 years to obtain degrees in flower arrangement? And why should it have to be a Japanese school? I can only answer that it is a passion to achieve a certain amount of perfection in an art, which has evolved over centuries while being nurtured by several generations of families in Japan. And for us, it is far easier to work towards this perfection when it can be learned in a very structured manner and with a continuously evolving syllabus. Each degree reinforces that our progress is steady and builds confidence in us to visualize and create our own arrangements. I've been a member of Ohara School of Ikebana Bombay chapter since the beginning of my journey and was nominated as its vice president in year 2005 with the due consent of a Japanese parent, and I'm still continuing in this position. We regularly hold interesting programs where we also invite international masters to conduct workshops and demonstrations. We also arrange visits to Japan for classes. The Japanese take the Ikebana art very seriously and spend decades both learning and teaching the art. I was pleasantly surprised when on 17th February of this year, I received an email from Japan headquarters that they had bestowed upon me the honor of Sub-Grand Master. You cannot apply for this post. This can only be bestowed upon you by the parent organization based on your study, spread of knowledge by active teaching, attendance and participation in workshops and conventions in India, Japan, and other countries around the world. They have even invited me to personally collect the honor on 17 September 2021 in a small ceremony in Kobe, but the pandemic will decide if I'm able to attend. This then is my journey of Ikebana through the past 36 years. This journey is not yet complete. I have learned a lot, but I'm still eager to continue my learning. even as I am able to enthuse more and more students in this art every year. In this new normal, instead of a live demonstration, I have arranged a small presentation where I have tried to introduce you to a few examples of our Ikebana arrangements.
Full slide this here is
Full screen.
you can keep pressing down
Niche wala? Niche?
if you want to go.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
pehle bolna.
Yeah. As early as the 6th century, with the introduction of Buddhism in Japan, the temple priests used to make floral offerings to Lord Buddha. There were no rules for arranging the flowers that were offered. Over the years, styles developed, and in 1895, Unshin Ohara founded the Ohara School, one of the various schools which developed their own styles of flower arrangement. Now, this first picture that you are seeing is of the first arrangement that we learned in our journey of Ikebana. This is known as a rising form. You can see that it's done in a shohin vase. Shohin in Japanese means small. And we have the subject group, which are the white flowers, the object group, which are the pink and white double gerberas. Those are known as the object group, subject group, and the green leaves, which are the filler material. The green leaves enhance the arrangement, and they are even used to cover the pin holder because we don't want the pin holder to be seen. So this is the first arrangement that is taught to us in a vertical style. Like, how do you do when you are doing it in a vertical style? You'll notice that all the length of the stems are different. The angles are different. In Ikebana, no three lines are of the same height. They're all different and the angles are all different. So nothing is in a straight line. This is the inclining form. After the rising form, we come to the inclining form, which goes from one side of the vase outside the vase. And this is again in a shohin vase. Shohin means a small container. And here again, 3 flowers are put, the subject group, a little golden rod is put as a filler, and the leaves are used as to hide the pin holder and enhance the whole arrangement. Because in an arrangement, leaves are a must. We can't have flowers without leaves. Now, this is the one row style. See, as we go higher, this is done in the second year. As we go higher, the containers become bigger. We use more flowers. And this is a one row, which is done in one. This is influenced by the Western culture. And like in my Ohara school, we believe in less is more. The arrangements are always uncluttered, using minimum lines of flowers and foliage, which make them very pleasing and peaceful to the eyes. In fact, Ikebana is also a form of meditation, as you tend to become one with the arrangement. Now, this is the radial form. This is influenced by the Western arrangements, like spreading out the arrangement. And this is done in a compote container. You see that little stand of the container with a bowl on top. This container is known as a compote arrangement. So here we have 2 kukubara leaves going on opposite directions. And we have this, that's a subject group. And the object group is in the center, the pink gerberas with the filler material. This is the circular form. This is definitely, it's like, you know, the wreath arrangement. On Christmas, they have wreaths. So this is based on that. And this is a low coffee table arrangement. This goes in clockwise or anti-clockwise, the movement. And the center is always kept open. You can even put a candle or something in the center for during parties or anything like. Here you will see that we have calla lilies being the subject group. Then we have the pink carnations being the object group. And to contrast the pink, we have this other purple color spray carnations to add to it. And this ferns to give the momentum. This is a Hanamai style. It's a beautiful style. You can do it in 3 containers. You can do it in 2 containers. You can do it in a 1 long container. Hanamai means dancing flowers. So it is like, it's in the field, the wind is blowing and the flowers and the leaves are dancing and all. So this is one of that Hanamai style. It's a very beautiful, elegant style. Now this is Heka. This is done later on as you advance in our degrees. This is in a tall container. There is no Kenzan used. Kenzan is a pin holder. There are no Kenzans used in it. And they teach us how to balance the leaves and the flowers with different angles. And we have 3-4 varieties of Heka styles in this. This is the slanting style. So this is done without any Kenzan. It's a little tricky, but it's a beautiful thing. Now we come to the Moribana group. That is the backbone of Ohara school. It was invented by our headmaster, and Moribana means piling upon. So this is the upright Moribana with the 3 areas and 3 roses, and the leaves are, the rose leaves are enough for this, so we didn't have to put a 3rd material in it because the rose leaves are enough. They're hiding the pin holder and everything, so that is enough. And as I said earlier, we believe in using less material. This is again another Moribana that was in an oval container. This is in a round container. This is in a round vase, and we can even use these twigs without any leaves. They look so pretty. And then you can add the ferns down and these pink roses. So this is another variety of Moribana. This is water reflecting. This is first taught, the water reflecting style means if you see the long subject line and if you see in the water, you'll find a reflection of it. This later on merges into become a water reflecting landscape. So this is the first step you learn, a water reflecting Moribana, which later translates into water reflecting landscape. They are beautiful arrangements. This is it's a color scheme. It is traditionally done with these chrysanthemums. And color scheme means you're trying to show the colors. So here we have yellow and pink and white. And we always, in color scheme, we always try to subdue the colors. We don't use very bright colors or anything because there are a lot of flowers in it. So it's always nice to have a subdued thing. And this is one of the highlight of our Ohara school life. This is now the Narabu style. Narabu, we are using 2 vases, and they are teaching us how to balance out the material using the 2 vases with the leaves. Putting the leaves is the most difficult thing. You can use the flowers, but arranging the leaves is very difficult, and they have to be done very naturally the way they are growing. So this is, after Narabu, we go on to the Rimpa. So this style, after you understand, it goes in the Rimpa, which is a more high degree arrangement. This is a Hana Kanade. This was recently introduced by our current headmaster, Mr. Hiroki. This again is like dancing material in the fields and all that. This is what I feel. And you repeat that Song of India down with the Kokoloba leaves and all that, and just complete that arrangement. Again, you'll see that the 3 lines are at different lengths and different angles. Nothing is same. That only makes the arrangement interesting. If they're all of the same height and the same this thing, it looks very monotonous. Now, this is one of our landscapes. This is a slanting type of a landscape in which I try to make it, and now in landscapes, we will not use roses because they are cultivated. So we'll use material that is wild looking. In this, we have used this other, it's a reed like, and these branches, and we use the red color leaves just to give it a little color and all. And this container is our traditional Ohara school landscape container. It's a beautiful container with the blue inside, which depicts water. Now, this is the Rimpa arrangement I was telling you. From Narabu, we progress on to this Rimpa. This Rimpa arrangement is taught very, very later on to senior students who have spent years in learning, because this is again a very, very technical and it's a beautiful arrangement, the ultimate arrangement. And this is again traditionally used with coxcomb. So here you'll see that different colors of coxcomb are used. Now this Bunjin Cho is again a very high level arrangement. It's also known as a literati style. We have Bunjin in bonsai also. And the Bunjin vase and all is a very specialized vase. We can't use any vase for a Bunjin. And this is again a literati style, which is supposed to be for the elite. Like. Now this is a freestyle arrangement. After you've understood the arrangements and you mastered them and all, then you try your hand and it comes automatically to you for a freestyle arrangement. You cannot do a freestyle unless you've understood the arrangements. After doing the understanding the arrangements, a freestyle comes very easily to you. This is a morimono arrangement. It's an arrangement with some flowers and fruits and vegetables. It's a very nice subtle arrangement for your dining table. Like you can use you can do many varieties of morimono arrangements. Now this is ukibana arrangement. This is a floating flowers, like how we do float flowers in urlis and all that. But this is, like very subtle arrangement. This is for the floating flowers. Now this is mizumono. This is a water landscape. So everything that is growing in water will only be used in the arrangement. So that's why the flower used here is a lotus.
Stop your screen sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. Now, other than ikebana, there are ukebana floating arrangements, shikebana laid flowers, which is like our rangoli. It is very short-lived one because it does not use any container of water. Moribono, you saw this thing, arrangement of fruit and vegetables. And then zuki ikebana, they are used with iron sculpture arrangements with metal, plastic nettings and all that are used. And they are all backed up with current practice of ikebana, the aesthetic principles and philosophy behind the practice of ikebana. Now, as a thumb rule to a lay person, the vase is a core part of any arrangement. Any type of vase can be used. However, there are three factors to consider when choosing your vase: size, shape, and color. The size of vase dictates the size of your arrangement. The colors of the vase influences the color of the fresh materials used in arrangements. Natural or neutral colored vases match all flowers. Bolder colored vases can complement or contrast with the material. Try selecting the vase first and then your flowers to match, or select your flowers first and then your vase to match. With practice, eyes get sensitized to the materials to be able to bring out the inner qualities and understand how this changes with every arrangement. Ikebana is counted as one of the three classical Japanese art of refinement, along with kodo, incense appreciation, and chado for tea and tea ceremony. I would like to end with a haiku, which is a Japanese poem of 17 syllables in 3 lines by Herman. Laying down in the hills, I hear the branches whistling. The world fades away. When you dive deep into any art form, you become oblivious to the world around you.
Obvious.
Thank you all for your patient hearing.